Hello, and thank you for your interest in the dirty dozen measure of the dark triad. I get a lot of requests about various issues with the scale in terms of using it, and I wanted to record this video to, of course, save myself time to share with you on my website and to potentially just give you instead of having to respond to all these different messages, because they all really come down to the same thing, and oftentimes it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how you access it, how you use it, how you score it, and that type of stuff. And so for one thing, what I often get are requests for permission to use it. So this is a publicly available scale. That means you don't need my permission to use it. The items are in the paper itself from 2010. If you go to the end of the paper, you'll find the 12 items. So you don't need my permission. Now, if you want to translate it or something like that, that's probably a good idea. Not necessarily to ask my permission, but to at least let me know, because I might already have a translation in the language that you need, or I might have some suggestions about how you might format that translation, and then later add it to the repository that I have. And so I have a repository of about, say, 20 translations. So ask if you'd like one of those, but you do not need permission to use the scale. Now, if your mentor or something told you that was the case, please send them to me, and I'd love to talk to them, because from my understanding is publicly available scales you do not need permission to use them, and so you are contacting me unnecessarily, and you're spending unnecessary effort when you don't need it. Okay, so that should save you some time. Now, in terms of scoring, one of the fundamental problems people have with the scoring is that they're making some assumptions about that there are some norms out there, or that there is a scoring procedure, like if you score above this makes you a psychopath. This reveals to me that you haven't really read any of the articles with the scale, nor any of the modern research on the dark triad or dark tetrad itself, and that you're making the error of thinking about the world, or at least personality traits, in terms of dichotoma categories, if you will, instead of continuous traits. Now, this is because the dark triad come from a tradition of clinical research where the burden on the legal system and the therapist is to say yes or no, this person has this disorder. But remember, we are not, as in the people who are doing dark triad, dark tetrad research in my tradition, in my fashion, in my style, are not creating such kind of dichotomies, right? They're not making such diagnoses, right? They're simply saying that the variance in these traits is associated with something else. Indeed, the analyses that you should be looking for are correlational style analyses. If it's t-tests and ANOVAs, these might not be the correct analyses if the traits are treated as the independent variables. If they're treated as the dependent variables, that's another story, of course, all right? So there is no scoring procedure, like you have to work out where the threshold is, if you will. Instead, you should ask participants on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 7, 1 to 9. I think recent research says that the best option is 1 to 9, but I'm not of that mind. I still use 1 to 5, and it's something like about how much participants agree with each of the 12 statements, right? So maybe not at all to extremely, or strongly disagree with a neutral in the middle, to strongly agree. Now, we have in our original study in 2010, we used a 1 to 5 and a 1 to 7, and the scale seems to maintain the psychometric properties that we would like it to. So you can be relatively assured that it's an arbitrary choice to some regard, whether you use 1 to 5, 1 to 7, 1 to 9. And so that's another kind of thing you don't need to pursue. You simply need to mirror how researchers in other articles that you have read also use the scale, right? So to that end, I hope this video will have helped you, will have saved me time, will have saved you time, and maybe will have just given you better insight how to use this scale, because I think for a lot of people it's not intuitive, because they're coming from assumptions that they're not necessarily aware of about how we do this research. So I encourage everyone to do their research before they and do their thinking before they contact any academic about the use of their scales or any of that. Remember, publicly available scales, that is, if the items are in a journal, like they're published in the journal, it is therefore publicly available. All you need to do is cite the work. You don't have to get permission, all right? So that's all for this short little video. Hope everyone has a good day and good researching.